I'm Becky.
I'm Brent.
Hopefully that, just saw the picture of him. Anyway, we took early retirement because Brent had to take disability, Social Security retirement. And so we are living our dream. We moved to the Rocky Mountains and we want to share some of our adventures with you guys. We did not plan on retiring as early as we did, but we'd always dreamt of coming to the Rocky Mountains and retiring. We have good friends that live here, and we'll tell our story of how we got here later. But today we are going to Upper Sunshine Reservoir. It's out of Meeteetse. We've never been there before, and so we're going to take you guys along for the ride. It's really beautiful scenery. I'm going to try and turn the camera here so you guys can see it. When we were out at the Bill Cody Reservoir, so we'll show you there, but that's just minutes from our house, so we can show you that later. But a lot of these we haven't even explored yet. So we moved here during the pandemic, which was fun. Brent had to have 2 surgeries this summer of 2020, so that was in and of itself a experience. And we tried to keep on going, and then realized in about July, before his last surgery of 2020, that we weren't going to be able to continue with our business. He was a contractor, and I played tool girl for most of 2020, but that's not my expertise. I'm more of a administrative type gal. I've done, bookkeeping and office work since I was about 13. Started out with my dad. So anyway, I barely can turn a screwdriver, and I call them plus and minus instead of Phillips and slotted. I still don't know. Anyway, but we did it. We decided in July of 2020 that we were gonna do it. We weren't not gonna be able to continue on as we had. So we told good friends that live out here that had been wanting us to move and knew we wanted to. And a little side note, I told them in May of 2020 that when they said, "You're probably never gonna come out here," and we said, "Nope, probably not." So when we called them in July and said, "You're not going to believe this, but we are moving," their words were, "You're not going to change your mind on us, right? Right?" And we're like, "Nope, we're doing this." So, little background, we do not make changes. We are pretty much like just, yeah. We lived in our first house 14 years. We lived in our second house 24 years. We had a business for over 34 years. So this was huge. We lived, how far is Scappoose from Hillsborough? Half hour, 40 minutes?
Yeah, 45 minutes, yeah.
So we lived that short of a distance for where Brent was born and raised. And we lived like 5 to 10 minutes away from the hospital I was born in. So yeah, this was a big move to move 1,000 miles away. So it was interesting during COVID. We did this. So we had quite a few trailers, which was a good thing because we could not get trailers when we went to start moving. We tried to get U-Haul, and everybody was leaving and not bringing trailers back. So some of the rental places you couldn't even get a trailer or a truck to move.
They would rent you if you were going to leave the state of Oregon.
So yeah,
they weren't getting them back. So
how many places did we call?
I called, I don't know, all the big ones: Pesky, Budget, U-Haul, all of them.
Yeah.
Enterprise. There's a whole list of them, but anyway.
Yeah, I think it was Enterprise wasn't even allowing any of their moving vehicles to go outside of the state. So it was a crazy time. So we ended up buying a cargo trailer. And so, you know, we could use it for a little bit of time with our business, and we thought, well, we'll just use it to move then. So we did. And we did, it was a total of 11, 12.
11.
So
11 trips.
11 trips. You took 11, I think I took 10.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And that was with 2 trailers. A 14-footer that you pulled and a 20-footer that I pulled on most trips.
yeah. Now I am a city girl. I don't even like driving our Chevy truck that we're in right now, which is what's it called, a Duramax or whatever.
Duramax, so it's a crew cab, full-size Chevy.
So it was quite a stretch for me to, you know, be driving, let alone driving over the Rocky Mountains. And we were hoping and praying that we wouldn't have snow. And you know, we actually were really blessed. We had 2 trips that there was some ice and snow. The first one being in October, they had an early, I don't know that it's early for them, but early for us. They had some snow going over, and one of my dear friends, thank you, Tracy, we're indebted to you forever. She pulled one of our trailers, the small cargo. At that time, we didn't have our larger cargo trailer. Brent pulled a stock trailer that our friend so graciously loaned us. And I pulled another one of our trailers. And coming out of Butte, it was crazy, icy. If you know some of those passes, they are pretty steep. And I guess was it Lolo Pass in Montana that had the semis pulled over, that it had the accidents? Do you remember?
I
Is that
don't remember
Lolo?
which pass it was.
Is that Lolo, the one that goes into Montana?
Yes.
Anyway, there were 2.
Oh, no.
Oh.
That's not Lolo. I can't remember right now.
We'll have to.
Caught me off guard.
Sorry. Anyway, it's the one pass that I-90 goes over in Montana. From Idaho. Anyway, there were a couple of semis that were pulled over, and both Tracy and I were,
Lookout pass.
Lookout pass. There we go. Tracy and I were, oh my goodness, you know, how are we going to do this? And we were on radios, and that was a blessing. We had business radios from our business prior to cell phone days. And so Brent would be like, okay, Becky, you shift down to 2, Tracy, you shift down to, 3, whatever. So he was guiding these 2 women pulling trailers over the Rockies for the first time in snow and ice, and woohoo, we made it, only by the grace of God. We've got stories to tell about the move that miracles. It's just
Girl, your hair.
Yep, definitely. So anyway, I'm just learning how to do this, so if that's why the camera gets a little warbly, but anyway, yeah, it was crazy. We couldn't go into restaurants. Oregon was totally shut down, and so we would leave, early in the morning. We would have our snack bags packed and just have to eat as we drove. And then once we hit Montana, we could finally, pull into a restaurant and actually get a meal. And, once we hit Montana, it was smooth sailing. And then when we had to go back, we, get a good breakfast at a restaurant, and then we'd have to, have our snack bags ready for the rest of the way. There were small fast food places that were open along the route. The problem was, once you hit Idaho, Washington, Oregon, they just had the drive-through. Well, when you're pulling trailers, you can't go through a lot of those drive-throughs. So that was very interesting to try and get through that way. And then we, in that move, which went from August of 2020 we just got our last load of business stuff just a month or so ago. Things progressed, things changed. The restrictions, of course, went away, but they were not as heavily restricted in Wyoming and Montana as they were on the West Coast at all. So that was nice.
I don't think prairie dogs get COVID, do they?
I don't know. We did get COVID in that time. We got COVID after we were here, but it was I should say we got it. We assume it was, but we were sick a week, and it was just like the flu. I mean, we were tired and whatnot, but we recuperated really fast, and we're back, doing what we needed to do. And since we were a what was the term they used, honey, for businesses that had to stay open? Not a necessary business, but do you remember?
I don't remember. I remember there's a term, but necessary businesses, I guess. I don't know.
I don't remember all the lingo that we learned back then.
We were one anyway. We were allowed to work, thankfully.
So we just, masked up and stayed away. And usually we weren't around the customers anyway. We were out, where the equipment was. So that really wasn't an issue. But we made it. We sold our house in February. And then we continued going back and forth just because we still had stuff in our shop. And some of our personal belongings were in our shop. And then we had all the business stuff. And so it was crazy. During that time, on the first trip over without me, Brent came with one of our friends. Thank you again, Lynn. He drove his big truck, and I say big, it's another Duramax, and a flatbed.
No, it's a Ford.
It's a Ford. Sorry, Holly. We have a Ford though too, so I don't know what the big deal is, but anyway, we have a Ford, a Honda, and a Chevy, so we're not prejudiced. Anyway, on that trip over, Brent got picked up by a gust of wind in the Columbia River Gorge, which is known for its wind, into a potato truck and took out the side of our truck. He was still able to continue on, but we ended up taking one of our trips with a rental, pulling a trailer, because it was in the shop. And then another time, he got carbon monoxide poisoning, which we still are kind of scratching our heads how that one happened, but he was in this truck pulling our cargo trailer, which had 2 freezers and our side-by-side refrigerator, not side-by-side, our refrigerator, big one, French door. We had a generator in the back because we had a bunch of meat. So we had to keep, the electricity going on that. And somehow the generator, which was sitting right behind the cab here, there was some dense fog, and the only thing we could think of was with the inversion and stuff, it allowed the carbon monoxide into the truck, and he drove off the road. And I kid you not, I was in our Honda behind him, pulling a trailer, and we're driving down I-90, and he's going straight, and all of a sudden he switches lanes, which, okay, he's probably going to pass somebody, and he goes into the divider there, there's, oh goodness, the poles along the way. If you've ever been on a stretch of I-90 in Montana and stuff, there's a lot of stuff that can be in between those
poles,
yeah,
signs, all kinds of stuff to run into at 70 miles an hour.
So he's going like this, crosses that lane, and then I see literally the trailer go like this. I mean, it's almost totally on its side. And all I could say was, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. I couldn't even get a prayer out. And I literally, that trailer went from like that to straight, and he pulled out of the division there, back on the highway. And I'm on the radio, and I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, I think so. And so we took the next exit, and I ran over and hugged him while he changed underwear. No, just kidding. But it was, I haven't witnessed miracles like people, standing up that have been healed and they're in a wheelchair or anything. But that was a miracle. That was truly a miracle. Nothing in our cargo trailer shifted. Nothing even in the refrigerator moved. Nothing broke. I mean, it was, you don't put a big, how many pounds was that? Or
The truck and trailer that trip was 19,000 pounds. We weighed each trip because we were usually a little heavier than we probably should have been. But we got it on Wyoming.
I couldn't believe it. So I actually have a list on like 3 pieces of paper, 2 columns on each side of all the miracles that occurred on the trips. Some were easy peasy. We just drove and unloaded, and housing was crazy. Like I said, we're looking at 2020. And then also with people, we weren't the only ones that moved in 2020, but some our dear friends that lived here had just happened to buy a piece of property, and one of the buildings on it was a garage that was converted into an apartment, which is very, very common here in Wyoming for them to do. And so they had another double car garage on the property that we could put our stuff into. Their barn, we still have some stuff in their barn. Thank you, Rick and Linda, for your patience. But we went from a little under a 2,400 square foot house to a 650 square foot apartment, something like that. It was adorable, but it was tight, and we lived there for almost a year while we looked for a house, because as most of you know, the real estate market even back then it was crazy, and there isn't the volume of property here. And we were pretty specific about what we wanted, because this is going to be our last house, hopefully, that we ever buy. Like I said, we lived in our other houses for years, so this is where we want to plant. And so it took a while for us to get that. We still would like to build a shop. It just has one little outbuilding shed in it, but it's got gorgeous views and marked so much off of our want list that it was exciting. It was a blessing. It was a long time to get us here, and we love it. So like I said, we want to share our adventures, and there's so much to do here. We are less than an hour away from Yellowstone Park. We are, how far is it to the Bighorns, honey?
A couple hours. I don't know mileage wise, probably 100 miles, I'd guess, something like that.
Tell them what we see up there.
For Wyoming, 100 miles is nothing. Like my doctor or nurse practitioner told her I was going to the pain clinic 3.5 hours away, and she said, well, if you live in Wyoming, you get used to driving, because everywhere is a long ways away. I do like to drive, so.
But it's interesting, because when people hear that we have to go almost 2 hours to Billings if we want to go to Costco or Lowe's or Home Depot or Joann Fabrics, or they have most of the businesses that we frequented back where we came from that were only maybe at the most 15 minutes away. It is a difference, but you learn to go with it. And when you get to drive 70, 80 miles, it doesn't seem like it takes that long. And when you've got this gorgeous scenery to look at, it's really nice. So
Show them that.
we're gonna.
Wow.
Oh, I'm gonna show you this.
They call them the Rocky Mountains. They're big rocks, like on the left.
Yep, Rocky Mountains. So we're on our way to Meeteetse, and then it's, what did you say it is? It's like 20.
It's about 20 minutes out of Meeteetse.
So we've never been. How many lakes did you say are in Park County?
Oh, wow. It was 100 and I'd have to look it up. Little less than 200 lakes and like 500 streams and fishing spots. I was looking up fishing spots and there were like 700 in the state of Wyoming.
It's amazing.
Now, was that Wyoming or was that Park County?
I think just Park County even.
I think Park County.
Because we were just amazed that there was so many. So we've got some footage coming up of so we'll show you when we get to the reservoir here, but things are not usually this green, we're told, but it's gorgeous this year because what has been typical is we wake up, it's sunny outside, maybe in the low to mid 70s. I think we've hit 80 just less than a handful of times this summer, which is real unusual. But rain, we'll get these thunderstorms and it'll just torrential rain. Doesn't last for a long time, but it's keeping everything green and beautiful. So, but I am getting tired of the clouds. We thought we were leaving the clouds behind us when we moved, but they have seemed to followed us. But at least it's not all day typically. So we're supposed to finally get some warm weather, yay, next week. And so we're looking forward to that. But we will film some more when we get up to the lake, and you can come along and explore and see the new things that we're seeing. Well, it is really pretty out here at Sunshine Reservoir. We talked to some people that were going out fishing, and they said that it's cutthroat trout is what they get here. So that'll be another adventure. We'll come out fishing, maybe camping. There's camping here. Did see some kayakers, and there's thunder right now. So looks like we are going to get our afternoon thunder storm, maybe lightning. Got some dark clouds going in here. It is gorgeous here. I'm gonna pan the camera around so you can see just how pretty it is. These clouds look pretty wicked, but other than that, it's really pretty. So as you can see, those are those dark clouds that we're hearing the thunder come from. I haven't seen any lightning yet, but look how green. Is that just gorgeous? Got some people camping along the shore there. I'm not sure exactly how large this reservoir is, but it's really pretty out here. And it's a little bit different than what we're used to, because we're used to lakes with trees. And there probably are some of those here too, but it's the only outhouse we've seen, so it is primitive camping. But most of the people here have RVs, and so that wouldn't be an issue. But they're just camping right along next to the lake, which is really nice. So we saw people just pan back around. Saw people just fishing right off of their campsite. So how convenient is that? But it is really spectacular out here. Here's got the mountains around. Place to park your trailer and vehicles. So we just pulled up and had our lunch and enjoyed the view. So glad you could come along on our first trip out to Sunshine Reservoir.